Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are smoking beef short ribs. If you've never had smoked beef ribs, whether they're the big plate ribs, which look like dinosaur ribs, or these beef short ribs, you are missing out. They are fantastic. They kind of have the same flavor as a brisket, but with more fat and more flavor, and they don't take quite as long to cook, and you can kind of individualize them. You know, each person gets their own rib. They are a little bit hard to find. You can go to an actual butcher shop and get them. Sometimes Sam's and Costco has them, but you're hardly ever going to find them like at Kroger or Walmart. We buy half a cow from a farmer every year, and if you've never done that before, it's something you ought to look into, because you can get a lot of meat for an amazing price, and you know where your food's coming from. You've met the farmer, you know where your food's coming from, and that makes it a lot safer, and you can save a lot of money. I think this year we got about 300 pounds of meat for about $1,400, so a little over $4 a pound. And in that, you know, you get everything. You get brisket, you get a whole prime rib, a whole New York strip that you can cut your own steaks out of. You get a lot of these beef short ribs. You get a lot of ground beef. You get chuck roast. You get the tenderloin, which is filet mignon. It's a great way to save money, and it's a great way to be prepared, especially when beef prices have shot up like they have now. So what we're going to do, we're feeding about 10 people. So as you can see, some of these are a lot longer than the other ones. So I'm just going to kind of cut some of these in half to ensure that the cooking time is about the same. And then, gotta watch out for the bones. Good knife cuts through the bone. All right, those are pretty close. All right, I think these are pretty close. Now, the next thing you need to do is this huge hard fat on top. You need to get rid of that, and the best way to do it, if I had the right knife, is you get a small boning knife or fillet knife, and just come inside there and just run it right under, and then come back and take that off. If it leaves a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. It's just that fat will not really render down, and it'll make just that bite pretty tough. So we're just going to go through here and do that on all of these. And then I basically do it just like I do a brisket. I lightly coat it in olive oil, and then for a dry rub, I just use my own salt, pepper, garlic mixture that I've come up with, that I use pretty much on almost all beef. Beef, you know, you keep pretty simple. You don't need a whole lot of spice on it, just some salt, pepper, and garlic. And that's pretty much all you really need. Now, pork, on the other hand, I do use a lot of different rubs with brown sugars and different spices in that. But for the most part, beef, it's just salt, pepper, and garlic. These are going to go on the smoker at 225, and they are going to take about 6 hours. Now that one right there doesn't have a whole lot of meat on it, but it'll still be good. Okay, this one here has a big old thick cap of fat on it. This one's going to be a little trickier. But these things are very, very good, full of just good beef flavor. And there's so much fat to meat ratio on it that you know, you basically, each person gets one, and depending on the marbling on it, people who aren't as big of eaters can't even eat a whole one. But these things are very good. Other than cutting this fat off, they're pretty easy to prep, and they don't take a whole lot of time to smoke. Like I said, about 6 hours at 225. If you ever go to a barbecue restaurant and they have beef ribs on the menu and you've never tried them, you definitely owe it to yourself to give them a shot, because they are really, really good and really flavorful. Okay, this one doesn't have a whole lot on it, but we're still going to take a little bit off. You just need to get that hard fat off and get down to that softer stuff that will render down and melt into the meat. And again, these are beef short ribs. They also have what they call beef plate ribs, which those are the giant ones that look like dinosaur bones. That's what you'll get at most restaurants. Those are really, really good. A lot of people use these short ribs to make their own ground beef. That's really good as well. You know, you just basically fillet all the meat off of it and then run it through your grinder. And that's really, really good as well. This last one here. This one's gonna be mine. A little bit more off of this one. Okay, now, one glove off. Now we're just going to lightly coat them in olive oil. Just rub that around. Hit them again. And then now we're just gonna hit them with the rub all the way around. Now the very bottom kind of has a membrane on it. You don't really have to worry about that because you're not really going to be eating the very bottom where that membrane is. But you still want to get this rub on everywhere you can so that every bite you get has good flavor. Now these smaller ones will be done a little bit faster, but I'll just move them to the cooler side of the smoker and they'll be okay. So for those of you who don't know, we just became grandparents and we are having a cookout today so that some of our friends can come over and meet baby Levi for the first time. gonna have some good food today. He is now a month old, a little over a month old. He's up to like 10.5 pounds. Cutest baby in the world. I'm sure he'll make a video appearance soon. We're going on vacation in about 3 weeks to the beach, taking him with us. So we're going to be doing some reviews of some restaurants in Pensacola Beach. And I'm sure he will be in some of the videos. So don't be jealous when you look at him and realize he is the cutest baby that's ever been born. All right, we're going to take these out, put them on the smoker. Again, 225 for about 6 hours. We'll check in on them about 4 hours in and give you an update and let you see how they're coming along. So, all right, here we go. So the left side of my smoker usually runs a little bit hotter. So I'm gonna put the bigger ones on the left side, and then I will put the smaller ones on the right side. And then we will just go from there. We're also going to do a few other things today on the smoker that I'm very excited about. I think you guys will be as well. So that's why I'm leaving all this room over here on the right side, although I am going to move these smaller ones over here. All right, we will check back in about 4 hours and see how they're coming along.
We are back again, Kelly Party of Two. Yes, same night, same clothes. Just giving you a review of our delicious dinner Chris had for us. Our last item that he threw on the smoker was
beef short ribs. I've said it before, I said it earlier in the video. We buy half a cow every year and from a farmer, and beef short ribs is part of what comes with it. They are very meaty, very thick, take a long time to cook. You figure 6 to 8 hours at 225. But you cook them just like you cook a brisket. If you've seen my brisket video, it's basically the same thing. Trim the fat off the top, olive oil, salt and pepper, garlic, and then just throw in the smoker. These, I was a little bit limited on these because I got them started a little bit later than I wanted to, but I also had a meatloaf and cream cheese in the smoker. So I couldn't turn the smoker up to get the ribs done earlier without jeopardizing the meatloaf and the cream cheese. So I probably took these ribs off the smoker probably a half an hour to an hour too soon. I pulled them, they were about 190, 195 internal temperature. I wanted to get them to about 205. So they weren't as tender, well, the bigger ones weren't as tender as I would like. The smaller ones were fine. They were still delicious. Everyone loved them. I would have liked to have carried them over probably another 30 minutes to an hour to get that super tenderness that
He's
like a
his
brisket
own worst
gets.
critic. He does this with everything. But I did have a smaller piece, so maybe that's why mine was so tender. But I just like the fact that you're just using the salt and pepper and garlic, because you really tasted the meat in these, and that's that's a huge thing. I don't want to have to, especially doing keto, you don't want to have to slather it with, whatever sauce that you can come up with to get a good flavor. You want the meat flavor to come through, and it really did. So, again, I appreciate you making it keto friendly for me, because I'm sure there were some other things you would have preferred to have done.
Definitely.
But I thought they were delicious. Everybody else seemed to really enjoy them. Again,
Everybody loved them.
He's hard on himself, so.
Well, they are a little bit tricky because they're different sizes.
Yeah.
Different thicknesses, different lengths, so some cook faster than others. So you have to monitor those more than almost anything else. Everything else you can just put your thermometer, your probes in there and just see what the temperature is. Well, these, I think there was 12 different short ribs in there, and some were this thick and this long, and some were this thick and this long.
I'll leave that alone.
So you, unless you've got 20 different meat probes, you can't monitor the temperature of all of them. So I would use my little instant probe, and I'd keep coming out here and checking them. And, some of them were done and perfect, and the other ones still had, 15, 20 degrees to go. So I was having to move them to different sides of the smoker, to the cooler areas and things like that. So
if you do these, we would recommend only doing those, not throwing a meatloaf in there with it. Right?
Well,
or cream cheese.
Yeah, you can cook other stuff. Probably in reality, I should have took the smaller ones when they were done. I should have took them out, wrapped them in foil, and put them in the cooler.
We had a lot going on, guys.
Yeah, and then I should have took, when the meatloaf was done, I should have took the meatloaf out and just let those, last several ribs go another 30 minutes or so. But we were ready to eat. We were ready to show off the baby, and just catch up with friends. So, they were still phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. They were still
really
great. Good. Just a couple of the bigger ones were a little bit chewier than I would have liked. But no one complained but me. Everybody went on and on about how good they were. So most people had never had short ribs before, so they didn't know what to expect anyway. So I've cooked them several times, and, when they're done right, I know what to expect. And I also, when I got mine, it was one of the bigger ones. So, if I'd have got one of the smaller ones like she did, it would have been fine. But we have some left over, so maybe tomorrow for dinner I might eat one of the smaller ones. I don't know. But we had a great dinner. Caught up with some friends. Todd and Michelle came out. It was their first time seeing baby Levi, and they brought their daughter, which is my goddaughter, Gabby, and she just fell in love with Levi and held him a lot. And it was a good time, and some great food. They brought, some scallops and asparagus and potato salad, and we had so much food. It was awesome. And then our daughter Brooke, her boyfriend Austin, his parents came over, and it was his mom's birthday. So we had a nothing but cake and some type of chocolate dessert, and we got stuffed last night and just had a great time. It was awesome. Can't wait to do it again. But anyway, if you like beef short ribs, or if you've never tried them, give them a shot and tell me what you think. And I guess that's all I got.
Like, subscribe, share, and we will see you on the next video. Thanks, guys.
Bye.